Let's go ahead and continue. Here we go. Alright. It may seem crass to crush it to dust. Pray forgive the discourtesy. But Lord Van Zeeks. It was good. Is it cold in here, or is it just me? As your antiquated tone no doubt says, the prosecution may not speak during a summation examination. Oh, so that's why you didn't say anything. So under the deathly silence and listen to the charade. It seems I overestimate the intelligence of the jury. They're all insulted. Well, no matter. There's nothing so hard to prove as self-evident truth, it would seem. No. Why else would we grace the courtroom with our presence after all? Oh, the slow zoom in. So, let us proceed to the next round of battle. Took the coat off. Bring forth the witnesses once more. I mean, he's not that bad looking, I'll say that. Witnesses. I trust you heard the summation examination we have just had to endure.
Oh, yes, sir. That I did, sir.
Of course I heard it.
Oh, yes, sir. I heard it.
Coat is coming off, yeah. You, sir, on the end. The coachman. I believe it's Beppo?
Yes, sir. My lord, sir?
If it transpires that in your previous testimony, you were attempting to veil the presence of a fifth passenger on your omnibus. You did not hear it? You will be found guilty of perjury. You are advised to bear that in mind, sir.
Oh mio Dio. Ugh.
Now then, witnesses, I hereby call you to testify before the court again. You will explain the various misgivings brought to our attention by the defense's summation examination. Various misgivings.
I only carried 4 passengers that night. I swear it, but
Well, I've always told I had to pay 5 pence for the bus.
He fiddled us on the fare, he did. And then I saw the blood-curdling sight as well. It's all too much.
This is going great. Yeah, we turned it around. I tell you, I saw McGilda stabbing that man. Everything I said before stands.
Oh, yes, he stabbed him. Yes, he did. I think so, yes?
That was an interesting cross-examination time, but that was interesting what they all said. Counsel, make sense of this for me, please. The phantom fifth passenger conjured into existence by my learned Eastern friend never existed. What he just said. The confusion has arisen from the coachman's sly little cousinage. Beppo, explain yourself.
I'm terribly sorry, Guildmaster.
Guild's fare is 4 pence across the board. You know that. But they're probably just gonna say that he just charged them more, rather than him hiding someone. Am I to understand that you've been overcharging our passengers by a penny a fare?
It's so cold, and the last run of the day is always half empty.
You have been dishonest, Coach.
I'm sorry.
You're a disgrace, Beppo. A disgrace. And your selfless actions have brought dishonor on the entire guild.
If I may, sir. I had to pay 10 pence on the bus just last week.
What?
4 passengers at 5 pence each is, yes, 20 pence. I've done the arithmetic 10 times already, but I just can't make the results come out differently.
He is harsh.
No, that
figures. Well, it would appear that one of the aforementioned misgivings has already been explained. So, counsel for the defense, your cross-examination if you... We've already had the pleasure of protracted summation examination today. I see you intend to continue the parlor games.
Absolutely. Of course, we're not going to give up. I only carried 4 passengers that night, I swear. But hold it. So, there were only 4 passengers on your carriage, but you didn't charge them the standard 4 pence fare. Is that right? Ah.
Excuse me.
Mr. First. Can I help you, sir? That last statement, did it trouble you in some way? Oh, not particularly, sir, no. If anything, he's troubling me with that hat of his. He greased his head? Yeah, he was shaking. Oh dear, sir, I hope my hat's not troubling you, sir. I'm just still an apprentice, you see. Mr. Naruhito, even the witness can see what's going through your mind. You really must be more careful. I wish it were that simple. Hold up, let me go back.
Hold it.
The only okay, we already said that. It's impossible to make the run of the day. Last run of the day pay. He's still shaking. Maybe it depends on what he says it on. I was so cold, it was all I could do to stop myself passing out. I'm getting chiblains just listening to you. Again, he's just looking away. He's shaking. Interesting. Maybe he's planning on killing him. It was terrible, so I wanted to give myself a pat on the back for even keeping the bus running. Doesn't a dedicated coachman deserve an extra penny per passenger? You're digging a deeper hole for yourself here. If only there had been a 5th passenger on the omnibus that night, then we would have had another suspect. He was quiet.
Well, I for one was told I had to pay 5 pence for the bus.
He's still shaking. Does that mean everyone on board that night paid 5 pence instead of 4? Well, I paid 5 pence too, sir. Still shaking, no change.
And I just told you that I did.
A flat fare of 5 pence across the board. It's not something to be proud of. All the old lady. She did it all. Gotta keep your eyes on her.
So-called discrepancy my learned friend identified was nothing of this. Much like the phantom killer you so desperately needed, it's gone. Dead and buried.
I'd have been happy if I'd never existed in the first place. He fiddled us on the fare, he did, and then I saw that blood curdling sight as well. It's all too much. I messed his voice up a little. Oh well. Blood curdling sight, you mean the murderer, I presume. He could be. I don't know, I kinda trust him so far. He might do something bad later. Oh! He stopped shivering. Yes, sir.
A loathsome sight. No one should have to witness the horror in the eyes of a man the moment his life is taken.
Oh, well, not exactly, sir. I mean, I didn't actually see the exact moment the gent was stabbed.
Good gracious. Really?
Let me click that.
We have another witness who did, however. The banker has already testified to it.
Huh. But Mr. Ferguson has actually see the point at which the victim was killed. That may turn out to be very significant. I heard the banker gent next to me take a sharp intake of breath, see? That's when I looked through the glass. He is not taking his eyes off this guy. He's just staring. That's when I saw the horrible blade poking out from his belly, all covered in blood. Every time I see a knife now, I can't help screaming, even when I'm eating.
I tell you, I saw McGilded stab that man. Everything I said before stands.
Hold it!
They saw the defendant, Mr. McGilded, stabbing the victim, Mr. Mason, who was sitting next to him.
That's what I said, isn't it?
His face changed too. They're all reacting differently at different moments, but I don't know really what to really pursue. It was bothering me before this was. Just a brief moment, he hesitated before answering the question.
Anyway, there was only the two of them inside the carriage, wasn't there? There's been much talk of a fifth passenger, but as of yet, zero evidence. What do we waste all this time for, eh? It's black and white, the man's guilty.
Something about Mr. Fairplay's testimony just jars with me. I could work out what it was. Okay, there might be something there. Oh yes, he stabbed him. Yes, he did. I think so, yes. Alright, it's the last one, so you might as well get the information from it. Earlier you testified that you saw the moment when the defendant allegedly stabbed the victim, didn't you? Oh, yes, that's right. You said that the victim was on the floor and described the assailant holding a knife in an ice pick grip. I suppose. I might have a, put the cart before the horse, maybe.
What's this?
Well, I'm quite sure most of it. I was driving the horses when I heard a scream from the seats of the roof deck. Oh, I expect that was me, sir. Then when I turned around, yes, I saw it through the skylight. He looked away for a moment, fixing his hat. The gentleman was on the floor and the knife was sticking up out of his midriff. That's right, yes, and the fellow holding the handle was the famous man, yes. So in short, you didn't see the moment when the victim was actually stabbed at all. Apparently not. I really thought that I did, but I can't imagine why. But when I go over it again in my head, no. I suppose I didn't actually see the precise moment of the stabbing, did I? Oh, okay. This dude's eating his cane, I guess? Let's see.
Excuse me.
Do you have something to say about that, Mr. Fairplay? I mean, he is going nuts.
Now, you listen to me. I know what you're thinking. You didn't really see the exact moment the fellow was stabbed.
Oh.
What are the chances of that? Eh?
Are you asking me or telling me? I'm getting flustered. I might be able to extract some new information from him if I answer him cleverly. Did he have just happened to see the exact moment the crime was committed? Some days are like that. Hard to say. It's possible he could have been looking, because I don't know. Some days are like that. Yeah, we'll give that a shot. Well, it is a little hard to believe, certainly. Unless you spend your time peeping through a skylight on the top of an omnibus, that is.
Peeping? I'm a respectable city banker, I'll have you know. And I know what I saw. I remember it as clear as a Valorant day. It was a grim scene, I don't mind telling you.
Okay. That worked because it kind of insulted him, so now he's going to give more information.
Thank you, Mr. Fairplay. Oh, excuse me, I was getting a little hot under the collar there, man.
I'd ask you to supplement your testimony with a clear statement about what exactly you saw.
Oh, I can do that, alright. I'll tell you just how grim it was. Do you think I'd forget the sight of those blood-soaked hands after that butcher stabbed the man?
Dude. I'm just gonna do it. He wore gloves. Blood-soaked hands?
Well, I admit, the soaked might have been laying it on a little thick, but anyway, there was definitely blood all over them. Both of them were covered in it.
Well, I'm very sorry to disagree, Mr. Fairplay, but that's more than a little peculiar. I can't say that word.
What?
Here are the gloves worn by the defendant, Mr. McGilded, on the night in question.
Oh, yes. Right.
And there certainly does appear to be a sizable dark-colored stain there. But, as I'm sure you can clearly see, it's only on the right-hand glove. Those two things.
Yarr.
Don't eat your cane, dude. Peculiar. There we go. Peculiar. That's not a word I use a lot. In short, Mr. Fairplay, your testimony is inconsistent.
Yeah. But, no. This can't be right.
So you're the liar here, then.
Yarr. That's right. You were quite clear about it. You said it was both hands.
Here we go. I love the theme, too. This is such an awesome theme. Mr. Fairplay, if your last statement was a lie, it calls your entire testimony into question. You say you saw the moment the victim was stabbed. But is that really the truth?
Objection!
Oh.
It was a simple mistake. You can't justify accusing this man of lying. Yes, it was both hands. It was only one, but the fact remains. The victim's blood was on the accused.
Objection!
Good point. Yep. No, Mr. Fairplay categorically stated that he saw blood all over both hands. Which means there's a strong possibility that his witness was deliberately trying to mislead the court.
Why? I'm a city banker, for Pete's sake. Or for pity's sake, my word should be the gold standard. I'm a gentleman, not some gutter snipe. Upstanding members of society don't prevaricate. Prevaricate. I love all these large words. He's claiming to have no reason to lie. But is that really the case? No, he definitely has a reason. Mr. Naruhado, if we had some evidence to explain why Mr. Fairplay might be lying, it could turn the tide in this trial completely. I'm not sure this man has compelling reason to lie in his testimony. I mean, we all know. We all know from the last video what happened. My lord. Yes, counsel? The defense is ready to present evidence. By Jove. Are you sure? Yes. Evidence that would clearly demonstrate why Mr. Fairplay had reason to lie in his testimony. Called him out, huh? He's not a gentleman? Ah!
Very well. I hereby call on the defense to present its evidence. The evidence that demonstrates a motive for the witness's alleged deception of the court. Ledger.
Take that!
This is a list of the debtors who owe money to Mr. McGilded.
Yes, a list of innocent victims crippled by the accused's extortion.
The point is, among the names of the debtors in your name... What's up? Mr. Bruce Fairplay.
What?
Mr. Fairplay, are you currently indebted financially to the accused?
No, well, it's barely worth up being all the debt.
According to this ledger, you owe 20 guineas. Not an inconsiderable sum of money, wouldn't you say?
Yeah. Well, what of it?
Let's suppose Mr. McGilded were to be found guilty of murder. What would become of your debt in that case? These documents state that the loan agreement is forged between two individual parties. Therefore, were the creditor, the defendant here, to be sentenced to a capital punishment, all outstanding debts which were owed to him would be annulled. They would cease to exist. Cease to exist? Mr. Fairplay, Is it not the case that you claimed in your testimony to have seen something you never in fact saw? Yep. I don't think he's the murderer, though. In a devious attempt to annul your debt of 20 guineas to the defendant. Eat that cane. Eat it all. He doesn't play fair. Yeah, I guess he doesn't live up to his family name. Order! 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 Mr. Bruce Fairplay. Next. Yes, my lord. Let me ask you again, and be aware that your answer may have most serious implications upon your future, sir. Grr. Did you, or did you not, see the precise moment in time at which the defendant is alleged to have thrust a knife into the victim? Cane sugar? Delicious. Your silence speaks volumes. You did not tell the truth in your testimony. Alright, now let's not make a melodrama out of this. Perhaps I did overstate the truth a pinch. A pinch? But it makes no difference. I definitely remember seeing blood on McGilder's hands, both of them.
Objection!
And yet, only one of the defendant's gloves, which we have here as evidence, is stained. Grr. So you keep saying. Okay. I wonder if I might be allowed to speak, sir. Go ahead, Mr. First. Well, the thing is, I think I remember seeing it myself. As it happens. Seeing what? The blood, sir, on the assailant's hands. I think... Yes, I'm almost sure that it was on both of his hands, not just one. What? What? Okay, so he's backing up the statement. It would appear that we're going to need further testimony from all you witnesses. This time I would like to know precisely what you did and what you did not see. You liars. Do I make myself perfectly clear? Yes. Mr. Naruto, this is good news. The course of the trial seems to have shifted slightly at last. Yes. I might finally have a chance to turn things around here. Itchy nose. Yeah, the assailant was definitely probably someone else. It would also explain the 5 guineas. I think he's lying about the 4. But the witnesses really saw. Because it would be worse if he was caught housing a 5th passenger than it would if he overpriced by 1 guinea. Itchy nose. There was blood on both hands of the assailant. I sincerely and distinctly remember that. However, I suppose you might say that I didn't see the exact moment the stabbing transpired, if that matters. I remember seeing the knife, and I remember seeing both the attacker's hands with blood on them. I didn't actually see anything myself. No, not until I heard that scream. Anyway, the fact remains. There can't have been anyone else inside the carriage, or we all would have seen. Fix your wig, Judge. Well, lo and behold. In truth of fact, not one of you was witness to the crucial moment the crime was perpetrated. I apologize, my lord, but honestly, there was no one else inside the carriage, and my hands were covered, and the man's hands were covered in blood. That much incriminating evidence is tantamount to say that we saw the man do it. That's really not what testimony is about. Let us examine the interior of the omnibus one. The victim's fresh blood is clearly visible in the seat, corroborating the witnesses' accounts. In other words, there's no substantial nor significant change in the fact of the case. We won't leave that cane alone. Very well. Your cross-examination, please, counsel. Yes, my lord.
There was blood on both hands of the assailant. Assailant distinctly remember that.
Hold it!
He's got good dental. No, the evidence tells us otherwise. We have the gloves the defendant was wearing on the night in question in the court record.
I'm well aware of that, sir, but nevertheless, I know what I saw and I stand by it. The man had blood on both his hands.
He's defiant, even in the face of hard evidence. He's steadfastly refusing to admit that he might be mistaken about what he saw, but why?
Your reasoning, dire.
No dentist. Okay, poor man.
One hand or two. The salient point remains unchanged. Minutes after the grim crime, the victim's blood dripped guiltily from the accused's fingers. However, I suppose you might say that I didn't see the exact moment the stabbing transpired, if that matters.
Hold it!
Don't try to downplay this. Whether or not you saw the exact moment of the crime is a matter of fundamental importance as well, you know.
But for crying out loud, we all know that no one else could possibly have done it. I was just trying to save us all some time.
You have a loan of 20 guineas outstanding with the defendant, do you not? Had you hoped to release yourself from that financial burden by ensuring the defendant was found guilty?
Well, that's not entirely not what I was hoping for. I just lost a little guinea or 10 when I backed the wrong horse in the Derby, that's all. I was gonna win it all back. There's a fixture this weekend, that's a sure thing.
He's gonna go more gambling. He's got a gambling addiction. A little guinea or 10?
I'm a banker. No one bats an eye if I borrow a little spending money for the weekend.
Uh-oh. That can get him in trouble, probably. I think you may have revealed rather more about your character than you bargained for, sir.
This witness's scruples not on trial here. Proceed to the next witness.
Go gamble. He's pretty much taking bank money, it seems like, to go gamble. Is that really how it's supposed to work? Yeah. I remember seeing the knife, and I remember seeing both of the attackers' hands with blood on them.
Hold it!
You definitely saw that too? Blood on both hands? Yes, sir. I mean, I know what you're gonna say. Only one of Miss McGilda's gloves had any signs of blood on it. That's right. The thing is, as far as I remember, sir, when I looked down and saw Mr. McGilding sitting beside the other fellow, I don't believe he was wearing any gloves, sir. What would be messed up is if the murderer stabbed him and Mr. McGild had actually tried to help him, and that's how he got the blood on his hands. He wasn't wearing these gloves? That's correct, sir, and I saw the blood on his bare hands quite clearly. It's true that the dark-colored stain in the dark leather gloves wouldn't have been easy to see.
I should point out that the police officer who apprehended the accused on the night in question reported that there were no traces of blood on Mr. McGilda's gloved hands.
You can see it? I don't know. I'll figure it out eventually. There wasn't blood on his hands. Now we know there wasn't blood on his hands, though.
This is puzzling indeed.
Must be significant somehow, I'm sure of it. I didn't actually see anything myself, not until I heard that last scream. Okay, what do we got? Blood. Guess we'll just keep pressing. You didn't see anything?
Oh, yes, sir. That is to say, no, sir. I didn't. Very sorry about what I said before, sir. Very sorry, yes. It was very wrong of me to make up stories and say I saw him stab the man. Well, wouldn't you agree, sir?
I know what you're insinuating, but I certainly wasn't making up stories.
Still, to say you saw nothing isn't right either, is it?
No, sir. I saw nothing at all.
Mr. Beppo, you were driving your horses. At the very least, you must have enjoyed a good view of London streets, no? Ryunosuke's genius. Oh, please. You didn't even see that?
It was so cold that night, you see. It was all I could do to keep from passing out, sir. Yes, my head was fairly frozen solid, sorry to say, sir.
It would seem prudent to avoid travel on the last omnibus service of London's cold winter nights. Beppo.
Ah!
Anyway, the fact remains, there cannot have been anyone else inside the carriage, or we would all have seen.
Hold it!
And everything you saw of the incident was through the skylight of the roof of the omnibus.
That's right, it was fiercely cold that night, but the glass wasn't frosted over.
Oh yes, I remember shivering, it was so bitter. Which rather begs the question of why the pair of you were sitting on the roof deck in the first place. Under 5's judgment, yeah. Didn't see the wonderful streets of London. He's missing out.
Well, I don't know about this young fellow, but I couldn't enter the cabin.
Oh, why not? That's some news. Why not?
It was locked from the inside. I tried knocking, but no one opened the door.
Was locked?
That's right. And there's a public bus service, for pity's sake. That's not what I call fair play.
He said his name. Yes, I had exactly the same experience. I tried knocking, but the gent inside just gestured at me to clear off. I had no choice but to climb up to the roof deck and look down longingly into the warm cabin below.
Well, I assure you, I wasn't just looking down. I was glaring, long and hard. And that's precisely why I can tell you with absolute confidence. If there was anyone else at all in that cabin, I would have noticed. Unequivocal, I would say.
I'm not sure about these two witnesses. They really have seen everything inside the cabin through the skylight? Well, let's check the cabin. We actually haven't looked at it. I don't think we looked at this. Well, let's open the door and go inside, shall we? The scene of a murder. Horrible. His debt was covering his view. That's blood that soaked into the seat. The victim's, obviously. Yes, and the seat would be clearly visible from the roof deck. Do you really stab someone in full view of other passengers like that, I wonder? Well, it was after dark. And there was a lamp on in here, so perhaps the culprit couldn't see anything outside through the skylight. I wonder if he was hiding somewhere. If you may look at it, it doesn't seem like it was a planned attack. That's a poster for the Great Exhibition that's due to start 6 months from now. There's a lot of focus being drawn to the Crystal Tower, the centerpiece of the whole exposition. Oh, the Crystal Tower. It's under construction already, I believe. People all over London must be fizzing with excitement as the prospect of such a grand event. It's quite a large skylight, isn't it? Yes, quite large enough to afford a good view into the cabin from the roof deck. And there doesn't appear to be a handle or a hatch of any description. So I suppose it can't be opened from inside the cabin at least. That's a poster for the Great Exhibition that's due to... Okay, that's the same thing. Ah, there we go, red handle. The seat has a handle, it seems. Yeah, gentleman inside the door. This looks like all sorts of equipment that might be needed for the omnibus running. Feeding tubs, tools to repair wheels, blankets, horseshoeing tools. But notice there's a spot that's open. So it's a storage compartment for a coachman to keep his things, it seems. There doesn't seem to be any space for passengers to store their luggage, that's for sure. Well, I don't imagine it would be very convenient for that purpose anyway. But still, there is room. Can I click here and actually talk about this? No. Have you seen enough? Let's step back outside then. That's what I would think. Is there anything outside that we could take a look at? The name, Phoenix Wright Omnibus, alright. I was supposed to say Professor Lena, okay. The lawyer, Phoenix Wright, apparently owns an omnibus now. As far as Easter eggs go, that's a little obvious. Yeah, I'm about to check out the top. I'm just still reeling about the Phoenix Wright omnibus. He's your... I wouldn't say ancestor, but he's like one of your grandkids. You can certainly see inside the carriage through this opening, that's for sure. Yes, and there's a lamp in the enclosed cabin. So I'm sure the witnesses could have been able to see quite clearly. That's not good for us. Okay, I think that's it though. Unless they're sitting at the front. My rabbit's being so bad. Alright. They would have seen it. They might not have been able to. Not inside the compartment, at least. Allow me to confirm one thing, Mr. Fairplay. You were riding this omnibus. And witnessed the events in the cabin through the skylight in the floor of the upper deck. Is that right?
That's right, yes.
In that case, there's a portion of the cabin interior that would have been out of sight from you. The one right underneath it.
What?
By golly, really? Obviously at this stage, we can't say for sure. But the possibility cannot be denied that at the time of the incident, there could have been another passenger in the enclosed cabin of the omnibus.
Objection!
Enough hypotheticals meandering. My Nipponese friend. The prosecution demands that you substantiate your claims. After all, the scene of the crime is here, the flesh.
Very well, I will uphold the prosecution's demand. You identify the area on this cross-sectional plan of the omnibus. Where exactly in the omnibus are you suggesting that this potential extra passenger could have been situated? I mean, I guess the seat literally would be obviously in front of them. I still say the compartment, but for now, let's just go with the obvious.
Take that!
Both rows of seats on the roof face in the direction of the travel, whereas the seats in the enclosed cabin face each other. Which means the visible part of the cabin, which passengers on the roof deck can see through the skylight, is as I've drawn here. He's got a cool index finger. Oh, it's amazing. Oh. That's right, my lord. As you can see, the seat opposite, the one on which the victim and his attacker were sitting, is obscured from view. In other words, if someone had been sitting on that seat, it's quite possible that these witnesses would have been completely unaware of it. Ah!
Objection!
It's quite possible some phantom was sitting there. You Nipponese have a forbidding habit of obscuring the truth with ambiguity. I concur with the prosecution's rejoinder. In a British court of law, evidence is paramount. I cannot entertain this conjecture, counsel. That is, unless you're able to put a name to this mysterious passenger whom you allude.
Can you, Mr. Naruhito?
I mean, who else do we got? Male Strongheart. I mean, we don't know if it was there. Honestly, don't know. Could it have been? Could have been in the other seat, which was out of sight from the witnesses on the roof deck. They have an inkling. I understand, my lord. The defense would like to put forward a name. Because it's Chalice. You are a fool. That response was a desperate attempt by a man who has no notion of his own limitation. A toast to hard lessons not yet learned. I'm actually thinking it's the defendant. Let us not delay, counsel. The defense is still to name the passenger on the other seat. Could be it. Could be the chance I've been waiting for to turn the trial in my favor. On that night, the night of the murder, the person occupying the seat in the omnibus cabin that was obscured from view was... I mean, I have no evidence it'll be male Strongheart. But it could literally be either... Hold up. I can't look at my... I was gonna see if the dead body was his. I hate that they don't let me look at my stuff. Go for it.
Take that!
The passenger in the closed cabin that was witnesses on the roof deck failed to see. Has that been Mr. Magnus McGilded? The music got silent, so I think it's true. Mr. McGilded? What are you talking about, counsel? That's the name of the defendant.
Objection!
No! How many chalices does he destroy? If I desecrate this chamber by smashing my hollow chalice, do forgive the discourtesy. Lord Van Zeeks. People talk of these tiny island nations in the Far East as having learning and culture of their own. But I see they use the term ill-advisedly. What are you trying to say? Let me explain in terms that even a student of an artless backwater such as yourself might understand. They didn't see the faces because they're wearing hats, that's right. Oh, the person was wearing a hat. When the bloody scene unfolded, the victim and his assailant were sitting side by side. Multiple witnesses have attested to the fact. The very premise on which this case is built. Kind of messed up his voice there, but it's fine. But that premise may be wrong. What? If the victim really was sitting beside Mr. McGilded, it creates an inconsistency that can't be reconciled in any way. What inconsistency, counsel? The defendant's gloves, my lord. Both witnesses made the same testimony. They claimed that there was blood on both hands of the person sitting next to the victim.
Objection!
Yet we know the truth to be otherwise. Only one glove bears the gory remains.
Objection!
The point is, even in the face of this irrefutable evidence, both witnesses have maintained their stance. Yes, their testimony remains unchanged. Exactly. They both adamantly swear that they clearly remember seeing blood on both hands of the assailant. In short, their memory of events is correct, and their testimony reveals the truth.
It was somebody else sitting beside the victim that night, a third party we have yet to identify. And the victim's blood was on the passenger's hands, both of them.
Objection!
And who was this third party?
Obviously, the true culprit. Extraordinary. Alright, we're figuring it out. We just need that person.
Order! 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 What exactly are you postulating?
That's a weird word to use.
The defense's postulation is just that. Nothing more than conjecture. The witnesses have clearly stated that they saw the accused.
Objection!
But when elaborating on this testimony, Mr. Fairplay said the two of them were wearing hats, and I couldn't exactly make out their faces. The genius.
Yes. The tops of their heads were obscured by the roof. I could see the rest of them, though.
Yes, that's right. Both gents were most certainly hatted. Hatters do tend to notice such things, sir.
And what particular styles of hat did the two gentlemen sport, Mr. Foot?
I'm afraid I don't remember. And you call yourself a hatter?
The style of the hat makes no difference. There was no third passenger in that cabin.
How can you be sure?
Because if there had been, the accused, Mr. McGilded, would undoubtedly have offered to dispose the fact. Unless, that is, you are proposing an even more preposterous explanation.
He is.
That the accused failed even to notice the presence of the true culprit in the very cabin in which he traveled.
My guess is he doesn't want to expose him for a reason. He's right. If there was another person traveling the enclosed cabin of the omnibus, it's inconceivable Mr. McGilder would have been unaware of it. Maybe he was asleep. It's possible. It was the last bus.
Order! There's clearly a simple solution to this problem. Bring the accused, Mr. McGilder, to the stand.
Well, what do you say, counsel?
The prosecution objects, my lord.
On what grounds?
As a suspect, he will have already made a full statement to the police.
But what if there's some reason why he's unable to speak freely?
Magnus McGilded is no uneducated ruffian. If it indeed turns out that the man has been withholding information, you can be sure it would have been a most deliberate act.
Counsel for the defense, what is your opinion? My lord. Yeah, I should just call him. Should we ask Mr. Good to testify or not? Yes, demand his testimony. We need more information. Yes, we need what he has to say in order to find out the truth. He raises his hand. The defense would like to call Mr. McGilder to the stand. In that case, I would like to hear the opinion of the jury.
Oh, yes, sir. I need a little time to consider this.
If you ask me, I think we should hear what Mr. McGilded has to say.
Get the man out here, I say. It would be utterly illogical not to hear his testimony.
When something needs doing, get it done. That's how I run things at the guild.
Hearing what the patron of my favorite little park has to say? Oh yes, that would be lovely.
Yes, the jury says the man must be heard. Very well. The court will hear the defendant's testimony. Bailiff, show the defendant to the stand at once.
Yeah, they're finally siding with me. At least they're wanting to know the truth too. Now, maybe what actually happened that night will finally become clear.
Let proceedings be resumed.
Mr. McGilded, have you been listening to the discourse of the day?
To be sure I have, my lord.
There are now two matters in which the court desires to hear from you. Just is whether or not there was a third party with you in the omnibus cabin as proposed by the defense. The second, that if such a person was indeed present, why did you conceal that fact from the police?
Again, no. It's not in my nature to hide anything at all.
Just answer the question, please.
The truth of the matter is, I've been desperate about this all along. Do I tell you, Saul, or keep me mouth shut?
Tell us what, Mr. McGilded?
The fine fella representing me is absolutely right. In the carriage on the night with myself and the other man, there was another passenger.
It's true?
It was me who helped the little urchin get away after it all happened.
What? What? Even I'm like, okay. They helped the person get away and now he's accused.
No, Magnus McGilded. That convenient excuse can't save you now.
I don't think so.
I'm truly sorry, so I am, Lord Van Zeeks. I'm sure you'll be wanting to know why I said nothing when I was taken in by the police. I do be having a very good reason, I assure you.
Which was?
Well, the little child was just in the wrong place at the wrong time. And anyway involved, you see?
What?
If the police had known the wee one was there, they'd have assumed she'd done it. They'd have hauled her into here to the courtroom, just like myself.
Oh. Okay, so I think it was a kid.
I was only trying to spare her that. Young hearts and young mans are easily damaged, my lord.
And who was this young child of whom you speak?
That I don't know.
You don't know?
Well, the wee thing just happened to be in the carriage that night. I never saw it before or since.
Objection!
It was old lady murder? The little girl was actually the old lady? Maybe she put on a disguise.
We have absolutely no reason to believe this man. The prosecution calls for the witness's statements to be disregarded by the court.
You know, I wouldn't be surprised if the urchin isn't here in the courtroom as we speak, listening to the proceedings.
What? Oh.
Smoke! Ah! Fire! There's a fire!
Look, someone's trying to get away. After them.
It's no use. I can't see anything from all the smoke.
What is going on?
Be careful, Miss Naruto. Cover your face.
Bailiff, don't let the accused escape. Secure the omnibus. I hereby call an emergency recess. Bailiff, ensure the defendant is in custody and clear the courtroom.
There's a lot going on. We were hurriedly removed from the smoke-filled courtroom by the bailiff. Amid scenes of chaos, as people stumbled over one another and they're desperate to flee the chamber, I had no idea what was happening. All we knew was that, for the time being at least, the trial was suspended. Alright, that's actually pretty much a perfect ending point, only 3 minutes away. I don't have this autosave, okay. Alright. So apparently he said she might be in the courtroom with them, and then a loud bang happened, and there was a smoke screen, and apparently someone was running. My guess is they didn't want to be caught because it was probably them. But yeah, so that's going to do it for tonight. Thank y'all for watching. I really do enjoy this. I can't wait to continue this trial and see what happens. I'm curious. But I'm pretty sure we have a murderer now. It's going to be the female. Little girl, apparently.